What is the projected revenue for Milano this year?
500 to 700 million.
You're hoping for $1 billion dirhams.
My father spoke like the big boss. I want in 3 years billion. I don't want to disappoint him.
You will not reach your father's goal. 90% of the people know you because of the Danube name. That comes with a lot of pressure from everyone. When did you realize that pressure?
Very early, I realized that I was going to be joining the family business. Both Bade Papa and Dad have done so well in their life. It's not an easy task.
You're the director of a company making 500 to 700 million dirhams a year, but you have a curfew at home of 10:30 p.m.
My father is a very, very protective guy. Treats me like I'm his daughter. This is a very different scenario. Very different scenario. For example, I leave home at 8:30. I get a call by 10. Where are you?
You've been brought into richness.
I've seen some spend unnecessarily. He bought 4-5 cars in one day.
Competition makes businesses do much better.
Kill the market. Don't let the competitor come close. Keep your market share with your customers.
Welcome to another amazing episode of the Neet Bherwani show. I'm interviewing the youngest person I've brought on my podcast so far. He's brought up in a family which does over $1 billion of revenue. If you haven't heard of the Danube group, you are living under a rock in the UAE. I'm curious to know from him, how has it been living in such a family? What is the pressure of Danube family? When you're already so successful, for example, Shah Rukh Khan's son's name is Aryan Khan, right? Is Aryan Khan known for Aryan Khan or is he known as Shah Rukh Khan's son? I'm sure it's the latter. He's known as Shah Rukh Khan's son. I want to get into that side, right? How many people know Sahil for who Sahil is? So without any further ado, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Neet. Thank you for having me.
I think you mentioned to me in person before our conversation that you said that 90% of the people know you because of the Danube name.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
It is what it is. You can't complain. I'm not going to say like, oh, who doesn't want to build their own identity? Anybody would want their own identity, right? But it is what it is and I'm okay with it and I'm happy. Okay, I'm known because of my dad. I'm blessed.
You're part of the Sajan family name.
Yeah.
That comes with a lot of pressure from everyone's end. When did you realize that pressure is there in your life?
Very early.
What age?
15, 16. Very early, I realized that if I was going to be joining the family business, there would be that pressure and I accepted it because my dad, my mom, they wanted me to join.
So from childhood, they have been like, beta, you'll be part of our family business.
Yeah, and I was okay with it because, okay, yeah, it's a very easier path, you can say. But in the end, it's a good feeling that your parents want you to be there. I'll be lying if I say, oh, no pressure. Of course, there is so much pressure. How to live up to the name because both Bade Papa and Dad have done so well in their life. It's not an easy task, but you have to face it, right?
In life, when you're born, there are cards you're dealt with.
Yes.
These are the cards you're dealt with, right? What you do later on is completely on your own. Say 10 to 20 years on, later on, what is that identity that you hope to establish for yourself?
The simple answer would be that I have done well for the business. I'm a second generation, right?
Correct.
He's lived up to the name and he's done well at the business. He's taken it forward. There have not been losses in the business because of him.
Okay.
That is my main target if you ask me now. I'm not going to give answers like, oh, I'm going to take it here, I'm going to take it there. No. I want to be as profitable as possible. Take the company forward and be profitable. That's all. How you be profitable? Got to find innovations, bring new products in.
Speaking of profitability, what do you think is a good profit margin in a business?
Depends which one you're doing. Wholesale, retail, depends because I'm working in the wholesale and retail and bit of projects. If you're asking wholesale, I won't give the proper margin. I'll give like 20 to 40% is okay.
And in retail? 35
to 50% or 35 to 70% actually.
Why do profit margins become crucial for a business?
You have to pay your people, right? If you're going to do business, you need to pay your salaries also. You're making your profit, but after that, you need to pay your salaries. You need to pay for your warehousing. You need to pay for a lot of stuff. You want to do marketing. Nothing comes for free. So you got to make a good margin. In the end, all that matters is the NP, right?
The net profit that finally comes.
The net profit. GP is one thing, NP is another thing. GP is like after selling, what is the GP you make? But then NP comes after all your expenses.
You've been brought into richness. How was childhood like for you?
I couldn't complain for anything. I was blessed with everything. My dad and my mom provided me. Before I was born, my parents used to live in an apartment. But when I was born, 2-3 years after me being born, we shifted into a villa in Marina, 4-bedroom villa, which was a big deal back in the day.
When you go to a shop, when you would ask your dad that I want to purchase this, would he always comply?
He would not say yes all the time. Probably like for an occasion, he would say yes. Or because he's a father, everybody knows how he is towards me. He would say, okay, beta, I'll buy you, but 80% of the time you'll say, beta, not today. Some other time when you do something good, I'll get you.
What is it that you had to do good that he would buy you something?
He would not ask about the studies and all. Like if you would ask like, be a good boy. Don't ask all the time stuff. You'll get it time by time. Don't ask all the time.
From the time you were 5 years old to 10 years old, tell me how childhood was like and go as detailed as possible.
Childhood was normal. Parents used to go into depth of everything. So my parents are very, very protective, especially my dad. Mom is also protective. Mom is a bit chill. But dad treats me like I'm his daughter.
Oh.
That is a reality, because in how fathers ask their daughters, ki, where are you and all. I mean, when I was 5 to 10, I used to not go out. I used to be with my parents. But my father is a very, very protective guy for me. They used to ask like normal stuff, school and all. I was a very obese kid back in the day.
Okay.
Parents used to pamper, but my dad also wanted me to become thin and all.
How much pocket money would you get as a kid?
So I never had that thing of pocket money, like never. Like when I was 5 to 10 years old, no money at all. Like I used to not go out with my friends in such a young age. If we did, it used to be with our mummies only, like, my friend's mom coming, my mom coming. They used to take us for KFC or some fried food back in the day. So it was nice. There was no pocket money.
When did the concept of pocket money start and how much was the first pocket money you received?
Gradually getting older, there was no pocket money. Like if I went out for a hangout, I used to have like 100 dirham de do bas, because we might go for a movie and khana kha lenge. Like we'll go for a dinner. There was no source like monthly I'll get this much pocket money. Okay, 100 dirhams, go enjoy. And that was more than enough for me.
Tell me the most expensive thing that you'd asked for yourself during that childhood time and which they complied and something which they rejected.
PlayStation.
Okay.
PlayStation with some games, and they accepted because they loved me, because they wanted to give me, and they accepted. Of course, not in the same moment. They took time, and once my dad surprised me with my mom, like, okay, they got me a gift for my birthday. It was a PlayStation. It was a big moment, like, wow, PlayStation your parents getting for you. It's a big deal, and it was one of the happiest moments. Otherwise, anything expensive I never asked for. PlayStation was the one, and I got it, and I was the happiest boy there. Otherwise, nothing else expensive I can think of. Like, never thought about asking anything.
As a kid, our parents always keep teaching us lessons, right? Life lessons,
Yes.
So, as a kid, you made some mistakes which your parents guided you. Give me 3 instances.
Spending on rubbish things.
Such as?
Buying some stupid things online, like, clothes which were not needed, which I've not worn. Very stupid mistake, which my parents have guided me before and I didn't follow that. A second thing, probably, I can't really think of anything else, but the main thing for me, spending. There have been many more instances, I'm not going to lie, but I'm just not able to remember. But clothing was one I remember. I spent like, why did I buy this? I have not even worn it, and I have something similar to this.
What are the biggest money lessons which your parents taught you growing up? The biggest money lessons, your top 3 takeaways on money.
Savings is the most important thing. Now you can see we're all blessed.
Yeah.
Can't complain for anything. But that does not mean you just spend just because you have. Like for example, you'll not blindly buy a car or because you have money. No, you save. I have seen so many. Yes, my parents have taught, but I've read online like, footballers. I've seen some footballers spend unnecessarily. There's a player named Prince Boateng. He said a story that he was earning some very good wages at a club. And he bought 4 or 5 cars in one day. Now he doesn't have that same money because he was spending unnecessary. So when you have money, just don't buy blindly anything. You have to save no matter what, because you don't know what's going to come in your life.
Imagine someone making 10,000 dirhams right now versus someone making 30,000 dirhams, right? How much should a person making 10,000 dirhams be saving versus someone making 30,000?
I'm going to give an example. If you're living in UAE, you're earning 10,000 dirham. You have if you're staying alone and without your family, you have rent, you have your own groceries. Those are major expenses. How much must be going in that depends. 4,000 easily. 4,000 easily. Rent is not cheap. And groceries is also not cheap. How long are you going to eat from outside? Yeah. Having a salary of 10,000, you got to save up at least 3,000 dirhams, 4,000 dirham a month.
So at least 30-40% is
easily.
what you're recommending.
For me, it's easier said than done. But people who are going through it, they know it's not an easy task, because 10,000 is a decent salary, don't get me wrong. But not easy to save money. In a country like UAE, expenses are there.
Okay, now imagine someone making 30,000 dirhams.
Just because you have 30,000 dirhams, yeah, you're more privileged. Of course, you can spend. But that does not mean you spend like, okay, I have 30,000, I'm going to spend 20,000 dirhams. No, you don't need to do that. And giving same scenario, living alone, paying rent, spending 3,000 on rent, 2,000, groceries 3,000, you're having 24,000. You enjoy 2,000-3,000 dirhams, 4,000 for yourself and save 20,000. Just because you have 30,000, I wouldn't want somebody to spend 25,000. Like I tell my friends also the same thing, that just because you have this much, don't spend it. save because you don't know what's going to come in your life. Lose your job, some emergency, someone getting ill. You have to save up money for that.
You mentioned about emergencies, you never know about this. And I think savings is something that is a quality which you have been brought up. Tell me instances in your life where such emergencies came up and savings came in handy, either for you or for your family.
Mom getting ill, even taking to the hospital. Savings is very important, but we are blessed that we don't need to think about that for my family. Of course, we save, but we have the funding to do that, to take care of mom, give her the best treatment, or for papa, or for any other family member. We are so privileged and blessed that we didn't need to think that savings karna hai.
Many people, when they're growing up, they're like, I wish I was born in a better family or in better situations. I'm going to be honest, even I used to wish that, especially when I was denied pocket money and all that stuff. I used to honestly wish that, I wish I was in a better thing. But again, that's the card you dealt with. But if I die poor, that's on me.
So for me, one thing was business aside. I wanted to feel good about myself because I was very obese. A lot of people who know me know how obese I was. And now when they see me, they say like, wow, well done, Sahil. Lose weight, you feel good about yourself. You wear good clothes and then you feel more confident. That is a reality. I used to wear clothes and they used to be tight on me. And I used to be like, what am I doing with my life? And I realized so late, and that too in the COVID era, 2020, I was like, it's time. And I had a transformation in 4 years. And that made me realize that I'm confident to go on stage and talk.
So before that, you were not confident at all. So
Not at
weight played a massive impact for
Huge.
you, for your self-image.
Huge impact. More confidence to speak to people. When you dress good, you feel good about yourself. Like when your clothes are tight, it's a very bad feeling. People will say, oh, it's not a bad feeling. It is not a good feeling for me. When you go to try some clothes on and you try a size, this is not fitting me. Oh my God, have I gained weight? Unfortunately, I think about all this. It is that I have a tendency to overthink a lot for many things. This was a big reason for me in my childhood.
Currently, you're the director. You have just been recently appointed as the director of Milano. But before this, you have been working in the Milano group for 4 years, if I'm not correct. You're a director now, but you were not ready to become a director that time because you didn't know much about the business, right?
Absolutely not.
You went through a 4-year journey before becoming director. What did you learn across these 4 years, across various verticals in the business? Walk us from year 1 to year 4.
So I started sitting with my dad. He said, son, you sit with me now. Like he loves having me around. I'll teach you because he doesn't like to be without me. And he wanted to teach me from his own. You see what I'm speaking. And I went through that phase. I'd be lying and say, oh, it was so fun. No, it was very boring also.
What was the fun and the boring aspects?
90% was boring because just sitting and listening. It's not fun. I also like to speak.
Yeah.
I like to speak a lot. My father was giving me his time to teach. The first thing what I learned about was air freight. When you're importing goods, freight was a big deal because the freight charges were so high that it hits your product cost, right? Your landing cost. So that was a thing which I learned very early on. Now it has helped me a lot because I know how it works. The freight cost, obviously, we have a full purchase team, they inform, but you see your costs. And gradually that was the one thing I learned. I was very lucky because all the colleagues are now very good with me because I'm close to them. I don't talk to them like, oh, some Sahil director. I was never like that. This term director has just come now. I was always like, bro, what's going on? I don't say like, yes, what is going on? Like I say, bro. I call most of the colleagues bro, bhai. I want to portray myself that way because I am that way. I'm not going to be like, yes, can you keep quiet? Nothing like that. It doesn't work. So I learned a lot of things from the product managers, from the coordinators, from the purchasers, many things.
In business, you were taught a lot of things, basically is what you're saying. Like you were taught from your father, you were taught from product managers, you were taught like all these things was being taught to you year by year.
Yeah.
What year was this? Are we still talking year 1?
It's gradual. 2020 to 2021, 2022, 2023. It's gradual. Nothing was a yearly wise. It was just go with the flow. What you see, you learn. You go to showrooms. Then I started traveling to Oman, Bahrain because we're very strong there. So I'm working for the brand Milano. It is very strong in the GCC. And now we're also very good in export, like African markets. I've not gone to an African market. Whenever a customer comes, I deal with them. We have so many showrooms, be it retail or wholesale.
What about other aspects of business? Like, for example, reading the balance sheet, reading the profit and loss statement, understanding cash flow, accounting. Who taught you all these things?
See, I studied accounting in school. Not that I was that good in it, I'll be completely honest. But like here, sitting with the finance team is the main thing because they bring monthly a report. I sit with them, I understand. I ask them this term, what is this revenue? Why is this revenue cut from us? You will also appeal like, okay, why this expense came to me? All these things I want to learn. Like, why is this hitting me? This deliverables, why this miscellaneous expense came. You see all that and you understand.
What about, say, operations? What did you learn in operations? Your business is very operations heavy.
Going to the warehouse is very important. Meeting
Why?
your warehouse team, because you want to see everything is intact, especially when you're in wholesale or retail. You want your material delivered on time. We always credit the salespeople selling the item.
Salespeople are generally the most respected in most organizations. right?
Absolutely.
Because they're the ones bringing the money in. But what do you think? You have a controversial different take?
Salespeople should be credited heavily. They're the pioneers of the company. They are selling the product. They're doing the hard earned. But we always forget the people in the back end, warehouse, people who are delivering the material. Because in the warehouse, it's sometimes hot, right? Warehouses are always outdoor or it's covered, but still it's hot in a country like UAE. We always forget them, like, they're delivering the material, the drivers, or, the people who are carrying the material and putting it in the trunk. We always forget that these people are forgotten to be credited. If your warehouse is proper, then your deliveries will be on time. Because if your deliveries are not on time, your customers will never like it. Because service is the most important thing. Salespeople are, of course, the main people, but also the back end team are
I think the promises made by the salespeople need to be kept up by
absolutely.
the back end.
So here, this one thing my dad taught me, that never give false promise to the customer. Say 10 days extra, but don't give false promise and spoil the brand name.
So you would say 10 days extra, but you would deliver it earlier.
Yeah.
Under promise, over deliver. Is this something that you practice?
You know what? I've never even looked into this. It's just that we say it for safety, because we don't want to disappoint our customer. We want to give it as soon as possible, but at the right scenario. Because suppose we tell, like, oh, I'll give it to you in 3 days, but you take 7 days. Customer will get angry and he'll call, like, where is your material? What answer you have? Oh, ma'am, sorry, it got delayed. You don't want to do that to your brand.
And certain situations, products could get delayed, right? And then later you have to call the customer saying that, hey, listen, it's not. So in that particular case, how do you manage the customer?
So I'll give you an example of water purifier. We do a lot of servicing for water purifier, because after 6 months, they need servicing. So many people have complained that our servicing is not on time. We are not responding to the calls. Like, it's different to what you asked about e-commerce, but I'm giving you a response for water purifier. But our water purifier is one of the most established names now in the UAE, because the way we've branded it, I'm sure you've seen it, the Milano water purifier. We've branded it. But like, there have been complaints that, our service line is not picked up or anything. How to deal with it? You give offer. Do the servicing for free once in a while. You have to mellow down. You cannot fight back. Don't fight back to the customer. Sometimes customer will be unreasonable also.
Do you think that customer is always right, or the answer is something else?
50-50.
Okay.
Be it in retail, like, there's been so many instances I've got to hear from.
Tell me instances where you have noticed that the customer is right, and instances where you notice the customer is not right.
I wouldn't want to say anything. Customer for me is right 80% of the time. He's the one who's purchasing.
But tell me about the times where customer is not right.
For example, he saw bathtub online and he ordered it. He ordered the same bathtub, but then photo is also the same. Features are the same. But when the bathtub is delivered, something else is different for him. He thinks it's a different bathtub.
Why would the customer think that?
I don't know. Now we don't know. Customer is having his perception that it's not the same bathtub. Obviously, you don't want to say, no, sir, it's the same. We try to convince him, and then in the end, he'll return it. And then we'll say, okay, sir, if there's anything else you would like to buy, we'd like to make it up. We'll give you a discount and all. That has happened quite a few times. Not only for a bathtub, it's happened for many things. Not in Milano items, but like furniture, it has happened. I've heard stories.
Milano, when it's delivering products, the market that you're catering to is the small to mid-income, if I'm not wrong.
Absolutely.
When direct customers are buying products from you, what are the payment options that you offer them?
Retail or wholesale, you're asking?
Retail.
Cash upfront. It's not, because how a normal retail store you purchase.
Now, do you have cash on delivery?
Yeah, I think we have cash on delivery, yes.
So there was an instance which happened recently. Now, this is in India. Someone purchased an iPhone on cash on delivery. Okay. The iPhone got delivered to the person's house. They killed the delivery guy. Okay. And they kept the iPhone to themselves. In which situations should cash on delivery be applicable, and which situations should cash on delivery not be applicable?
It has to be applicable no matter what. Now, this is a very unfortunate incident. Oh my God, like, condolences to the person. I'm living in UAE, GCC. I don't think this could ever happen here. Never. UAE is one of the safest countries, and I vouch for that. I vouch for that for men, women, especially for women, it's a safe country. I can vouch for that this will never happen in a country like UAE. So I'm sure for a fact that cash on delivery should be applicable all the time. Because people may be preferring to pay that, maybe some card details or anything, they want to pay on cash. That's why both options have to be open.
Multiple issues can happen in cash on delivery. For example, the person reaches the place and they may find that the person who's receiving the order is not available to collect the order, right? Hence, the person has to go back. They can't leave the product, right? Because they haven't received the payment for the product yet. That is issue number one. Issue number 2, who is ordered, right? The person himself may not be there, but his spouse or his kids may be there who don't have the cash to pay upfront. Like issues like small issues like these happen, right? 3, they may not have change to give the delivery guy, or the delivery guy may not have change to, like they may give 1,000 dirhams, but the product is 100 dirhams, They may not have change to give back.
We are not some perfect people. These situations can happen in the biggest of the biggest business. This will happen. Now, how to overcome it? Sometimes when you send the delivery guy, you have to send him with some change in hand. Now, because sometimes a customer will be like, oh, you don't have change. Now I have only this much. Customers do that. I've gone through it in food deliveries. There have been instances where I said, okay, keep the change. There's 100 dirham change. It have been, okay, just give me the food. I'm hungry. So you have to think in advance. But these instances will always happen. No matter what all you try to overcome it, these obstacles will always be there. No matter what. Big businesses. My Emirates NBD card was getting delivered through Aramex. I was not at home. They needed my Emirates ID and my fingerprint. I said, come back later. They came back later. You have to put that in your business also then.
Marketing and sales. Okay. Now you told me Milano as your company has been constantly growing. Your dad has never faced a year in which there were losses. What is the overall year-on-year growth that Milano has been getting?
You can say 10%, 8% since I joined. I made it an agenda. Like I said earlier, that I'm not the type of guy who will say, I'll take the business here, I'll do this for the business. My main agenda, give the turnover 10% growth at least. If I have not done 5 to 10% growth, I have not done a good job this year. It's been a disappointing year and I am the one who have to be blamed for it. How turnover will grow is because of innovations, new innovations. You have to show your product in the most beautiful way. So 10% growth is a main thing for me.
And what's the highest growth Milano has ever achieved? What was different about that particular year that you achieved that?
COVID. Lots of people were buying wholesale, retail, crazy business.
So growth skyrocketed. How much did it go to?
20%. Retail went wow. Now retail was growing this year. This year though, little bit, let's see if we catch up. Because we grew so much from last year. We grew by 9% last year in retail, which is a good thing.
Many companies, like many founders, like especially companies I work for, they are targeting for much higher growth rates. They are like, grow the company by 50%, grow the company by 30%, year on year. That's the growth they want. Right? Me personally, we hit 1 million dirhams in almost total sales. My personal goal is to grow the company to $1 million. So basically, I'm aiming almost like a 367% growth overall, right? From going from 1 million dirhams to $1 million approximately. Something like 10% does not excite me. Personally, I'm saying. Why aren't you chasing higher numbers? Why not like 20%?
See, I can say I want to grow the company by 25%, 30%. Easily I can say that. But I'm trying to be as realistic as possible. I'm not going to, again, I'm mentioning, I don't want to give false promises. I want the company to go by 25%. But I need to see my margin also, right? Now, this one thing I'll tell you. Like, for example, I'm doing 200 million sale with a GP of 30%, 200 million, 30%. But I'm also doing 250 million at a GP of 22%. Which one would you do?
I'll have to calculate the thing. But of course, the business which is doing 200 higher GP is much better. Yeah, in fact, if you have a business which is doing $100 million, 100 million dirhams, and it's having like 90% GP, that would be a better business model.
But for me, I want both top line and bottom line. That is the main thing what I have learned in the business. Bottom line and top line is the main thing. So now for me, our turnover is very good. Now I want to make it grow at least by 10 to 15%. Yes, I want to have higher goals. I want to take it 30, 40%. That is my main goal also. But I'm seeing the realistic factor if you're asking me right now.
Milano is a company which has been growing 10%, right? Now Sahil Sajan has entered the business. 80-85% of the people know Sahil Sajan because of the Sajan name, right?
Yeah.
Sahil has to do something crazy to establish the name of himself within the company, within the family, within the employees who are working with him, because most of the people, I think, being so young, you're working with people who are much elder to you.
Very much,
correct?
Very much elder.
And in the start, they would not take you very seriously unless you do something crazy, a growth that the company has never seen before. And I'm sure this may also be in your mind, right? Ukhad lenge. I'll be the best the Sajan family has ever seen, right? I'll do something which no other Sajan family has done. While being realistic also. Like, of course, I agree with what you're saying that I don't want to make fake promises, but it's always good to aspire to all these things.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. For Sahil to reach that growth where Sahil becomes something that no one in the Danube group has done, what do you have to do different?
I want to show that the particular brand of Milano never goes on loss.
But it has never gone on loss.
It's never. I want to maintain that for life. I don't want to say people to say like, oh, he came in, loss happened. No way. Since the time 4 years I joined, I'll be honest, first 1 year was just like learning. For 3 years, I started working. I started traveling. I've been going to China. I'm sourcing products by myself now. 3 years, there has been good growth. I want to maintain that. And I'm not saying that, oh, just because I joined, there has been growth. No. Company is established. I have got to build a brand. Now, how to take it forward is my responsibility. How to show the brand in a more beautiful way. Show my products in a more beautiful way. I need to show. Like, what am I selling? Bathroom fittings, electric products, hardware products. Now, in your ear, it will not be the most like, this is all like, commercial products for my household. It's not so appealing to me. But in the end, these are one of the most important things. How do I show it in the most beautiful way? That is my responsibility. And I need to show that there has to be growth.
What's already been happening, you need to ensure that continues happening.
Continues in a much more better way. Got to show it in a much better way. The turnover has to go up and up and up. There is no going down.
But I think even 10% as the business is increasing, right? For example, 10% of a $1 million business is 100,000 dirhams. But 10% of a $100 million business is $10 million.
Massive.
Right?
Massive.
Even when a business grows by 10%, while it's maintaining the GP, the differential is much higher.
That's what I was saying. Like, you're saying 30-40%. Already the figure is already 6-7 figures. I can easily say 20-30%. But I'm being completely realistic. Like 10 to 15% is, I'm not aspiring to be that.
Yeah.
I at least want to maintain that.
Got it. Imagine that the business is growing. Profitability can be achieved in two ways. Either you make more revenue while maintaining the same cost, or you bring down your costs. Let's go on the cost side of things. Right?
Yeah.
If you bring down the cost, again, you increase your profitability, you increase your NP, you increase your GP.
Absolutely.
What steps are you taking to increase profitability within the company?
Cost has to be low. You have to source your products in the best fashion. You need to source your products. You need to go to the right suppliers. If you want to stay in the market, because now the market which I'm working is very, very price sensitive. Just because I have a brand doesn't mean I take it easy like, oh, people will buy because of the brand. Yes, the brand is there, but people look at price also. Especially when you're buying low to mid commercial.
I think pricing becomes one of the most important.
Pricing is the most important thing. So maintaining my cost is so important. Like if I reduce my cost, then I know that I can make some GP and I'm in the market. I also sometimes I'm working on a less margin to kill the market. No competitor comes close to me.
I love it.
Kill the market. Like don't let the competitor come close. Keep your market share with your customers.
While you mentioned this, I just want to bring up one example. I think competition is healthy because it drives you to innovate continuously. Competition is good for the customer at the end of the day. If there was a situation where no competition existed, businesses could just get away with doing bare minimum, right? But competition makes businesses do much better. Speaking of competition, I want to get your opinion on this, right? Shark Tank India.
One of my favorite shows.
I love the show, right? I love the sharks who are there in Shark Tank India. The founder of Zomato, Dipender Goyal, it came in the news recently that he's been kicked out of Shark Tank.
I saw that recently.
And how this happened was Swiggy, Zomato's competitor in India, decided to sponsor Shark Tank India. They paid 25-30 crores amount, to become a sponsor. And one of their sponsorship criteria was, if we come on board, the founder of Zomato has to go out. I personally believe, while I'm a huge fan of Dipender Goyal, I believe this is a crazy move by Swiggy to eliminate competition in the high end. Because what was happening was, by Dipender being on the show, Zomato's sale kept increasing. Because of the founder's personal brand, especially in Danube Group, sales of the products have increased. Because of Mr. Sajan's brand or Mr. Anis's brand. And they came and they just became a sponsor and they knocked the competition out. Why did I bring this example? Because Swiggy took out the competition.
Yeah.
Now, Sahil,
what
steps have you taken to take out the competition?
So like I just mentioned, that I need to kill the market. I give the price what the customer wants. But the main thing, just because your price is low, don't compromise on your quality. That's why sourcing your product has to be spot on. If you don't source your product and you get wrong product, like product quality is poor, then your brand will get spoiled. Just because you bring a cheaper product doesn't mean you need to spoil your product quality. That is just going to tarnish your brand. Like if you want to stay in the market and you want to kill the market and you give a cheaper price, don't compromise on your quality though.
Now you've said you have adopted a tactic of offering your product at a lower price than the competitor, which effectively kills the competition. But let's look at it from the customer's point of view, okay? the customer has purchased a product at a lower price point. Being the low to mid-size market it is, these people are very price conscious. Right? Just let's imagine from the customer's point of view. They saw something which was sold to them for, say, 70 dirhams for a particular point of view, and they saw the price of that go down to 60 dirhams. They bought it. And then after the competition is eliminated, you have increased the price, probably made it 80 dirhams or maybe made it...
That happens.
How has the customer reacted at this point of time?
If you talk about wholesale, should I explain wholesale or retail?
Give both situations.
Wholesale, like, see, customer knows that if, for example, if I'm selling a mixer, they know the brass price is up. They also know themselves. So we tell them, capitalize now that the price is low. And the market is there. For retail, you cannot explain this. Retail, you have to give the good quality. They don't look for always cheap, but they also, like they will say, I want the best, but at the cheapest price. Every customer who will be looking for mid-range product will be always asking, I want good product, but at a good price. So you have to play around. You have to give discounts on a regular basis if you're in retail. If you see Danube Home is giving discounts on regular basis, they're playing it smart. How to get the customer attention, and we don't compromise on quality.
Quality is the most important thing.
It's the one thing I can brag about is that when they buy Milano, maybe 5% complaints come out of 95. Now we are also trying to overcome that 5%. We give warranties of 7 years and all.
How does warranty of 7 years work?
Depends.
Okay, let's go down this rabbit hole, right? Like you mentioned about warranty. I'm a customer. I bought the product. 3 years later, I've noticed that there is some defect in the product. 3 years down the line, generally to claim a warranty, you need a bill. Do people keep a bill after 3 years? I think most of them have lost the bill. Like, let's be honest.
After 3-4 years, customer forgets.
Customer forgets
99%, they buy a new one.
They buy a new one.
I have not gone through this. After 4 years, a customer is going, look, your mixer is this. But then if they come, we send a technician to their house. We fix the product in a better way. Giving an example of a shower. Showers have a long longevity.
Right.
If there is a problem, it's from their house. It will not be from the product 90% of the time. So a plumber has to fix it. Or be it for a switch, electric switch. We are very strong in our switches. Switches that we can give a new switch.
I want to move the directions to another place. What is the projected revenue for Milano this year?
Figure like wholesale and retail.
Total as a business.
Can be more. Just calculating because you're asking all three together. 500 to 700 mid.
500 to 700 million dirhams, right?
All three categories. Sanitary, electric, hardware and tiles.
Hopefully you're hoping for 1 billion dirhams.
That is a 2-year target, 3-year target. My dad has given me his dream.
So within 3 years, so you have till 2027.
I asked for 5 years. He said 3 years.
So if you're at between 500 to 700, what is the number? Is it 500 or is it 700?
You have to guess now.
Okay, let's consider it's 500, right? Imagine the business has grown 10%. Okay, next year, it'll reach 550. Imagine 550 has again grown by 10%, it'll reach close to 610. Imagine 610 has again grown by 10%, it will reach 670. You will not reach your father's goal.
Doesn't mean I want to maintain 10%. I want to do more than 10%.
Imagine you're 500 million, okay, right now, and you want to reach your father's goal of 1 billion. Which is double within 3 years. So in this kind of situation, you should ideally be growing at 30-40%. That's
absolutely
how you would reach your father's goal.
Now see, I don't want to disappoint him. No child wants to disappoint his father. But in the end, we have realistic talks. He knows also 3 years is a very he's a big boss, right? He's a big boss. He spoke like the big boss. Like, I want in 3 years billion. I said, okay, we'll try. I will do it.
But over here, you're contradicting yourself. When you're telling to your customers, you'll always give a longer duration. But over here, you agreed to your dad. Why are you not telling your dad, hey dad, listen, based on the current growth that we are going, based on 10%, like we will not reach 1 billion. And I don't want to, same thing which you told, right? You would rather give a higher duration than
That's why we have talks. Like I said, 3 years is impossible, but you're saying I'm just going to say yes. But I know it's going to take 5 to 7 years at least. 5 years, because I'm a realistic guy. Like I'm sure you realize that I don't talk on rubbish. I want to be realistic. I don't want to be a show off, I'm going to do this. I tell him realistically, you're going to wait 5 to 7 years, but it will be there and it will be with a proper margin. I want to always make money in the pocket. The company is making a good NP and we're happy. So that talks have happened. For him, I'll say, yeah, 3 years. Okay, yeah, sure, 3 years. But no, realistically, I spoke also like 5 to 7 years it will take.
Yeah.
Be it in a 10%. Why I always say 10 to 15%? Because I don't want to ever be on a loss. I don't want to degrow. That is my minimum range. Like if I do 10%, okay, I'm up there. It's not like I've done a good job, but actually I have to maintain that. But my target is to 15 to 20%. But 10% is a thing that I keep it like that has to be a growth. If I'm touching 10%, okay, I don't want to do a loss. If I do 5%, not good enough. And loss is it's a terrible thing.
I'm sure there have been disagreements between you and your dad, especially in a family business. I run my own business, and personally, I believe that within my own business, I wouldn't want to bring in family, because if I have my sister and if I bring her in, I have two sisters, right? And time to time, I've thought about bringing them into my business. But I don't want to do that because I wouldn't like to fire my own sister from my business. Like if they're doing bad, me firing my own sister
Bad blood will be created.
It will create an unnecessary drama, which I don't want in my family. And that's a personal reason. I would probably, this is my current opinion, I would probably never hire someone from my family member at the moment. But maybe you have a different opinion which you want to share.
I understand everyone's opinion for family businesses. Be more ambitious, go yourself. I also agree with that. I'll be lying if I say I don't. But this is what my dad wanted and I'm happy to do it. I'm given an opportunity. I have to take it with both hands. Conflicts are going to happen no matter what, be it for business or personal. Conflicts will always happen with your family.
How do you resolve this conflict?
Talk it out. Communicate. That's a simple answer I can give you. Communicate. Like, speak upfront. Like, I didn't like this. Okay, I'm not okay with this decision of yours. Or he's not okay with this decision. We talk it out. We have to come into a conclusion in the end because, yeah, we're working together, but we're family. We're father and son. I have my elder brother, Azarbhai, who I'm sure you've met. He's one of my biggest inspirations, who I look up to. Everybody knows I look up to my brother the most. Yes, my dad is the one who's guided. But a person I looked up to in business is my brother.
So while your dad would take care of the business, he would be there with you.
Mom, of course, mom would also be there. I'm very attached to my mom. People who know me know that very well. I'm so attached to my mom. My brother is my main man. He's the guy I look up to. And we don't have conflicts, me and my brother. And if we do, we like, ye kya kar rahe yaar? Like, we speak in Hindi, like, what is this decision, man? I don't agree with this.
Speaking of disagreements with your dad, tell me a particular instance which you believe that your dad, in business, thinking in another direction than you were. And you convince your dad to look otherwise.
Some expenses which I don't like. Why are you spending on this? Like some marketing expenses. I'm against that because I try to save some costs. Like I understand marketing is the most important. I'm all in for that. But sometimes like some expenses I would be like, not agreeing because in the end I have to look at the NP.
And did he agree to that?
Sometimes not.
See, you're the director now. You're the boss man right now. You're the director of a company making 500 to 700 million dirhams a year. But you have a curfew at home of 10:30 p.m.
Don't ask my opinion. His opinion, when you get married, do what you want. His simple answer. I give you example now. And I'm not complaining because he loves me. That's why he does this. Because my dad is a very protective guy. And he loves his child like I'm like his daughter. Because normally fathers are protective of daughters, not sons.
Right.
This is a very different scenario. Very different scenario. Like if, for example, I leave home at 8:30, I get a call by 10. Where are you? How long? Now I'll give you an example now. Sunday. I went out with my friend for a dinner. I was very ill. I was very, very ill. He took me to the doctor like I was some 8-year-old. He got me an injection. Like, oh, my beta, my son. I'm 23 years old and he's still doing it because I love it. And he was like, Sahil, don't go. And he was also saying, okay, fine. If you feel better, go. I went. I wanted to go because I was fed up of sitting at home. I'm eating a cake. I'm eating a cake, dessert. I get a call. Next time you're not going on a Saturday and Sunday. You have to spend time with your family. And this is the same person who said, okay, beta, go if you feel better. I'm just like, he said not in an angry way. Like, you should be here with your father. And I'm like, okay, I'm eating my cake. This is just one scenario. There are many.
So Sahil, when you have your son or daughter, how would you be with them?
For a son, I would be okay. So my dream is to have a daughter. And I would be extremely possessive of her until she gets married.
You're going to do to her what your dad is doing to you.
Yeah, but I'm a guy, man. like, I'm not even trying to be sexist here. Fathers are possessive of their daughters.
Yeah.
My dream is to have a daughter and I will be possessive like my daughter. She's my daughter.
Do you not say like, okay, let me be independent. No, let me go out, explore. Because I believe true independence comes when you are doing things on your own. Like for example, you have a swimming coach. When will you actually learn swimming? When a swimming coach is actually holding you down?
He let you go.
Or he lets you go. What if you don't get married till 35? What if you don't get married till 40?
That will be his biggest nightmare.
Yeah?
He wants his sons to get married. Okay, so Neet, I'll give you a reference. You gave your reference. It's a very different reference to the scenario we have. He didn't let me go abroad to study because he couldn't live. He would be like, like he loves his son. He would not let him go. I didn't go abroad. I wanted to go. And plus COVID was there. So everything was in his advantage. So that he got in his favor. I have never gone for a trip abroad with my friends. Never. It's okay. And I understand he's not comfortable. Like If I ask him, can I go? No. And okay, dad, I understand you're possessive. One day he will allow. It's not like he won't allow. He will allow one day. But like, I never say anything back to him. Like you say, like letting him be independent. I never say anything because he's protective about me. He's worried. In the end, I'm a type of guy who comes home, you know what time? 10:30, 11 sharp. And I don't like this clubbing and all, partying. I hate all this stuff. I've never gone clubbing in my life. Yes, I go for these house parties which family have, or you know, some friend's birthday. But I come home by 11 o'clock sharp because I don't like to stay alone. I like to go with my close circle. We go for a dinner, movie. That's about my life.
While I love this protective side of you, I wish my parents also very protective. And you know, but at the same time, they have let go right now because they stay in India. They don't know what I'm doing
also.
in UAE. And I'm 30 also, right? Like, as someone who wants to be respected in front of his staff members, in front of people who he's working with, I believe that true respect will come when people see individualistic thing.
Absolutely.
Sahil is completely Sahil, you know. And while I do get the love aspect coming in over here, I think for the greater good of the business and for the greater good of Sahil as a own, I feel personally, this one, and your dad may completely hate me for this, right?
Yeah.
He's like, why are you advising? But I feel you'll grow much. In fact, like, I don't know, maybe you may hit billion dirhams faster.
Be it from the business side, he lets me take my call. 80% of the time, 90% of the time, it's my call now. Like, I conduct most of the meetings myself. He's not there because now he's old, like he wants to relax. Sometimes he will come just to say, hello guys, how are you? Business side, it's all, he's letting me take my call. And he never is like protective. And yes, he's still in front of the employers. Sometimes I'm my beta and all, he does that. And it's fine. They all know me because now I've earned their respect. Like I deal with them and they come to me for advices. Of course, I learn from them heavily because they've been in the business for so long. So it's a very completely different aspect because my dad lets me take my call. Of course, I take advice from him too.
He's your mentor.
He's my mentor.
He's your mentor in a way.
And my brother also, he advises me a lot. But the main thing is that he doesn't interfere in this stuff. Like he's like, I'll take your call or on it. But for like other stuff also, if he wants to give an opinion, he would want to be adamant for that, which is fine. He's the one created the business. Protective and loving is from an outside world. Business wise, yes, he is protective. But also he lets me take my call. But outside life, like, Sahil, I want you home because he's protective.
You've been a director for some time, right? In these 4 months or whatever. But sometimes there may be a business decision which he has not agreed with. Would he tell that in front of the team members or
No.
will have a separate conversation?
Separate conversation. He knows he would never do that. He would always speak separately. Like, Sahil, I think you could have spoken about this. For example, I missed out to speak because I have to do public speaking a lot for the clients and all. So if I missed out a point, he would never say it in front of everybody. He'd say like, Sahil, you missed out on this one. That's very normal.
I love that. I love
He would
that,
never say it publicly.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. And Mr. Anis Sajan, if you're watching this podcast, I have so much love for you. But I think Sahil needs to let go. This bird needs to fly on his own. That's my personal take. It's his love.
It's his love.
Fly, Sahil, fly. That's all I want from you, man. I want you to reach 1 billion dirhams
Inshallah.
in the next 3 years. I really, really, really
That is
want
the
to see you
dream.
do
And
this,
inshallah,
man.
we will get there.
Yeah. I'll be so happy for you, bro.
How to get the new innovations which I
Correct.
need to bring. New products. Products are the main thing.
Perfect. Let's see you there. That was an end to this particular episode. I was personally interested to know that how someone this young is getting the responsibility of such a big business. But I think we've explored. We know where this business is heading. And let's see after 3 years when Sahil actually hits 1 billion dirhams and probably he's never married. Does his dad still check on him? Does his dad still ask, are you coming back at 10:30? We'll find out after 3 years. Take care, Sahil.
Thank you, Neet. Thank you, bro.